All right. In today's video, I thought a little bit about personal empowerment. That it's something that we have to create on our own by kind of piggybacking off of what I was talking about yesterday with the choices. Like we have to make a choice. We have to make a conviction to decide that we're going to do what we can do and not worry about what's going on the outside. Because again, no matter what's going on at the end of the day, we're the only ones that can make that choice to do something more. That if we want to create more with ourselves, if we want to become more reliant, resilient, more confident, we have to make decisions that will create more of that power. Because again, don't get me wrong, there are stuff on the outside that's empowering. There is ways to manipulate the world and gain power. We see it every day in the world, but that power is always fleeting and fragile. It can always be destroyed, it can always be taken away. And that's why I believe that creating personal empowerment from the inside is more important because they can never take away your knowledge. They can never take away what you've done. Now they might be able to, take away something you bought, something you built. They might be able to knock it down. But like Mother Teresa said, they may destroy whatever it is you build anyway. So there's always that personal empowerment to where we always have a choice to what it is we want to do. And I feel like that, like, it may not always work out the way that we want it to, but then at the end of the day, we always have the choice to learn from that situation and how can I be better next time? Because again, like I said yesterday, the only thing that stops us is quitting and not is giving up. Because that's the only thing I feel like failure is giving up, and that means totally giving up, like never going back. Because like I said before, I've given up a few times for a little bit, and I was getting frustrated the last few weeks and about to give up again, and then here I am. So that's why I like to show that it's all part of the process. And then I realized that I wasn't making the decisions that I was for a while there to get me to a place. Because sometimes when you start to feel better, you start to feel empowered, you start to get stuff done, then you start to get a little lazy. At least I did. And then we start to fall back into old patterns because when you're trying to make a change and when you're trying to become empowered, you there's always going to be something trying to pull you back to the old ways. It takes time, and and that's like one of the things that it talks about to empower is to be self-aware, and then be aware of that what was going on for me, and that I wasn't doing the things I needed to do, and now I'm starting to get back in that flow again. So that's what I'm saying by making those choices to get up, to do something, to start with that power hour, to start journaling, to start doing something. And like it's the meditation kind of gets me, the visualization kind of gets me in the flow to get on here, and I haven't been doing that lately. And I told myself that I got to get on and start doing that again. If that's the process, figure out your process that gets you in a creative state, a creative flow, or makes you feel better about things. Mine is meditation, mine is visualization, movement, learning, watching stuff, and and the more you do it, the deeper it gets, and the more you become that. Because that meditation gets me going, and when I did it 30 days straight, I was in the flow, but then I stopped doing it slowly but surely, and then all of a sudden I realized the other day that I got to start doing it again. And again, like the other thing for personal empowerment is goal setting, number two. So, set some goals that you want to get done, even if they're small ones. I mean, like I said the other day, is doing one daily task a day, no matter how big or small, is at least one thing. Yeah, you add that up over 365 days, that's 365 things, and they'll all add up no matter how big or small. And then sometimes you'll do like five small ones in a row, and then all of a sudden the sixth day there's a giant one, and that's what I mean. It's always you. It's up to you to make a decision, even if it's small. Where in the past I would always look at it as too big, like always thinking I had to make big decisions and all the time. they come when they're ready. And I'm sure you guys have all seen, and if you haven't, the pickaxe thing where the one guy's going along and he's rip raring and ready to go, and and then he just keeps picking at it, keeps going, and he's about to hit the diamonds where the other guy's one strike away and he gives up. So that's the thing, is you never know when that goal is going to be achieved. You never know when that epiphany is going to happen. But if you give up right before, what if the next day was the day that you figured something big out, but you gave up because you didn't see the results you were looking for? And that's the thing, is you got to have faith that it's coming no matter what, and keep doing the little stuff until the big stuff comes, because it's on its way if you continue to work. But then and it's okay if you get lazy like I did for the last few weeks. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's always periods of rest too. And we can't get too down on ourselves when we do those things. We just gotta pick it back up and start going again. And then every little thing starts to create a little bit more momentum. So, and that's number three, is continuous learning. You always just want to keep learning about stuff. I'm always looking for ways to become better. I'm always watching videos of other people's ideas. I'm always like meditating and doing all kinds of stuff, all that I can, to just keep the flow going. And then when I realize that when I am doing that, the flow is good. And then when I stop, it seems to kind of wither away like it had the last few weeks. So again, always keep learning, man. Education's forever. It doesn't even have to be a traditional one. It's just life itself. There's always self-education, and there's always people out there that have done what you're looking to do, if whatever it is. They're out there. Find them. And then again, too, number four is positive mindset. Always try to have a good attitude. Focus on the solutions rather than the problems. And that was the thing, is I was always looking at what was wrong, instead of actually, now I'm starting to say, you know what, I got this. Let's go. I'm going to start doing all this stuff and see what happens. Put myself in that proper energy, create, better self awareness, pay attention to what's going on, and be grateful for everything, and stop focusing on what I don't have. And focus on what I got and the direction that I'm headed. Or even you guys too, just any little thing, it helps. And like Tony likes to say, energy goes where focus goes. Focus in on what it is you want to do. Write some of these things down. I've been starting to write down little goals too. And the thing is you can think about them all you want. There's something about writing stuff down and getting it on the paper that makes it more powerful. And then it says self care is number five. So, but that's the thing, is always, do some of these things: movement, meditation, try to eat better, try to keep moving, get enough rest. The better that you take care of yourself, the better it is to get into a flow of doing better. I was eating terribly the last few months, so I've been trying to get back to eating smaller meals and just not going crazy all the time. Because sometimes when your body's processing, one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing for your body to do, is process food. So when you're giving it too much, then it's always in the process of breaking down that food, which takes away blood and energy from other parts of your body. So it makes it harder to get things done. That's why I was taught to, if you can, for most of the time, eat on a light meal, eat a light meal, or not have anything before you meditate, because then you can focus more on what you're doing, and then eat after. So, and then again, it says build a support network. It's always good to have people around. I'm in groups and stuff on the internet. Watch other people's videos to see how they handle stress and what they're doing. Talk to people if you have to. Share stuff with friends. There's always that good thing to be able to at least get it out if you have to. And journaling's good for that too. But there's something about social and support of other people that we all kind of need too. Uh, I guess so. And then it says number eight's practice of assertiveness. Communicate your, make sure you Trent Shelton likes to say, protect your peace. Like, make sure you set your boundaries clear and communicate your needs, and with respect. You don't have to be rude to people, but don't let people control what it is that you're doing all the time. It's okay to hang out and do stuff, but like at the end of the day, you got to get your stuff done too. And I've been guilty of it over my life, is paying too much attention to what everybody else is doing, and then I lose focus on what I need to be doing. So you need to be able to get your stuff done too, and make sure you're taking care of yourself, because if you're giving all your energy to everybody else, then you don't have enough to focus on what it is you want to do. So, and then 9, mindfulness meditation. We already know what that is. Like, uh, I believe if you want to get the best results, you got to do it every day. I mean, make that one of your main things, is to do it, even if you start with 5 minutes, and just keep adding it to it. I remember Tony was telling a story the other day of this nun who was, God, she was in her 70s or something, and she couldn't even like walk a few blocks, and she was getting tired. And then she was like, all right, I'm just going to do walk as far as I can every day, and walk a few blocks, then the next day walk an extra block, then the next day walk. So you start off really slow, but at the end, she was she actually ran a bunch of marathons and Ironman, and into, I think she was in her 80s when she was doing it too, and she was like passing people younger, or younger than her. But that's the thing, is that you got to start off somewhere, and if it's so small, that's fine. Start off with what you can. Again, meditation is that thing where it takes time. I know when I started, I would do it once and then not do it again for a month, and then not do it again for a month, and then do it once, and then a week later do it. I was never consistent, and I felt a little bit from it, but I didn't really know what was going on in the beginning, because I had experiences where I thought I was sleeping, but I wasn't. And then once I really got into doing it, I was like, oh, okay, I was meditating right. I just didn't realize it because I didn't know what I was doing. And then that's the thing, is over time, the longer you do it, it's just, to me, it's more about the paying attention to your thoughts. If you got it, if you were like me in the beginning, and you have a hard time doing it without anything, play music, listen to guided meditations just to even get started. I did that for a while before I was able to do it without any of it. And most of the time now, a lot of the time now, I still do guided ones. So again, there's a practice, there's a way to get it to where you can do it every day. You just got to be convicted to doing it. I mean, you just got to do it. I'll be forthright and straightforward about it. You are the one that has to make the decision to want to do these things every day. I can't force anybody to do anything. You have to say, I want these results that he's talking about. And I'm telling you, they're worth it in the end. It is very helpful, and it will help you bring more power over yourself and control over yourself and your mind. And your mind won't race as much. Your thoughts will change. Like, it changes your biology, it changes your mental functioning, it changes who you are, and it makes you less stress, less fear. It's really empowering to get to a meditation practice where you're doing it every day. It helps focus. It helps. There was a point in my life where I had to take Ritalin all the time. I would take some focus stuff, focus factor, and I don't take any of that stuff anymore. And I'm still able to get on here and focus. And I believe it's that meditation, it's that visualization, it's seeing myself sitting down doing these things. And when your mind can create and see it, then you can actually start to do it. And then number 10 is celebrate your successes, man. We're always down on ourselves when we don't do stuff. So why not start to celebrate it when we do something? Use, reward yourself with stuff. Dance around. I know when I finally got my first like and all that stuff, and I celebrated it on here. Doesn't matter how big or small it is, just get excited, man. That's the thing, is like, I do this just to help other people, because I want people to see what's possible, because I want to see that we can empower ourselves. We are the only ones that can empower ourselves. And when you create something from within and you create that personal power, you feel so much better about stuff. Like I think I said before, when I would sit there at the library and just I wanted to leave, but I told myself I'm not leaving till it's done. And then finally, when it would get the assignment done, it might be 4 or 5 in the morning. When I walked out of that library, I was excited, and I felt like I was on top of the world. So it's like there's something about that success that no one can take away from you, and that empowerment. So that's why I do these things, and it's something that I just enjoy. I want people to succeed. I want everybody to succeed. That no matter what's happened to you, no matter where you've been, no matter what, that you're able to push through everything with conviction, with passion, with excitement, and know that it is possible. Even if you're at a point where I was years ago, where I didn't believe any of this was possible, that's okay. It starts with a small crack open of the door, like the Book of Five Rings says. When you open yourself up to an idea, you put a crack in that dam. But when you're saying, nope, it can't happen. Nope, I can't do that. Nope. Well, then you're right. Then the dam's going to stay there because you're blocking everything. But again, it's just that little belief of maybe I can do this. Maybe. I thought, you know what? I read a book called Celestine Prophecy, and I thought, you know what? Maybe some of this spiritual stuff might be true. And then all of a sudden, but before that, I never believed in any of it. And then all of a sudden, just that little crack, that possibility of belief, then all of a sudden stuff just started falling into my lap. And then it was like, okay, maybe there is something. And it's like the belief just kept building and building and building. And the more stuff and the more coincidences that happened, there was a time where my friend told me to read Mind Body or Quantum Healing by Deepak Chopra. And I ended up going to get my books for class, and I was gonna get it at the bookstore, and it was like $25, and I was like, no, I can't spend that much. I gotta go buy my books. And then I went to the SC4 library, bought my books, and as I was waiting in line, I look over and there's a box of books sitting there, and all the books were down like this, and there was one book sitting on top, and it was Quantum Healing, and it was $4. And I just laughed to myself and said, you know what? I guess I need to read this book. And then I bought it, I read it, and the book changed my life. So again, you never know what's going to happen, but you got to just, have faith and start making some choices that are good for you. You know, just practice some of these things. If you can't do all of them at once, at least maybe practice one of them. And then all of a sudden you might start to do a second one, and then a third one, and a fourth, and then you start to get in a good flow, and then you're not in a good flow. So again, it's always the ebb and flow, but remember, everything can change with one choice. Everything can change with one stroke of momentum, and then you do another one, and then another one, and then it builds and builds and builds, and next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain, and then you feel empowered, because we can all empower ourselves. So I challenge you just to see what you can do with all this stuff, and like and subscribe, because like I said, I want to get all this stuff out there. I want to empower people's lives to know that you have control over your actions. You have control over making better decisions, and we can all do it. We all have that power inside of us. Sometimes it's just laying dormant, and sometimes we got to do the things that will awaken it from the inside and create us into these strong human beings that we were made to be. So I have faith in all of you, even if you don't, in yourself. And I'll have faith in you until you can create it for yourself. All right, that's my message for the day. Have a good day.